Hey, everybody, welcome back to the High Performance Zone. Today, we have the Uber director of American Ninja Warrior and Hell's Kitchen, Kent Weed. He and I dive deep into not just directing and producing some major TV shows, but more importantly, a transition in his life. He called it the urban monk. And transitioning into gratitude and compassion and fulfillment. How do you bring that into your life? We talk about positive triggers, not just negative triggers. And we talk about how to meditate at a deep level. He actually has a new course out on meditation. I can't wait for everybody to hear this and stand by. You'll walk away feeling happier and feeling more fulfilled. So here we go. Ready? Hit it. Hey, Kent, welcome to the High Performance Zone. You know, everybody on my team gets a call sign. It's part of being a Navy fighter pilot. I think you've got a call sign already. At least my research has done it. Is it the Uber producer or do you have a different call sign?
I think, it used to be Uber director.
That's it.
I directed lots of different things and I could do, a variety of talents and a variety of genres and everything. But, I kind of like... I think it's changed now. I think it's more, like a modern day, monk, like an urban monk. I think it's probably how to be a monk in the craziness and chaos of what's going on in the world today, but still, handle and juggle everything that's going on and not have to go to a mountaintop to be that.
Wow. By the way, I took your meditation course last night, how to tame the monkey mind. It was phenomenal. I can't wait for other people on this podcast to get a chance to go through your course. But what an experience. I want to dive into a little bit of your background, but more importantly, what you're doing now, because what you just hit on, I think is probably one of the biggest challenges for most people, including myself, is how do you be a courageous monk in the world today, right? What does a monk mean to be a monk? What does it mean to you? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that the reference, a monk kind of portrays an image of someone that is peaceful, that's very present, that lives in the moment, but there's also another angle of it, which is someone that goes and hides away in a monastery and just meditates all the time to get to that beautiful state of peaceful serenity. And in a modern day, that's just not possible. And when we live in a world where we have, our job and challenges every day with family and everything else that we're facing with, politics and society and culture and everything that's going on, we need to have more tools on our tool belt to be able to go out there and handle that and still stay in a beautiful state, still stay serene and peaceful and calm and handle everything that's thrown our way. So that modern day monk, that urban monk, which I borrowed that term from Pedram Shojai, who's a Taoist monk and written some books, Rise and Shine. He also has the urban monk too as well. But, and I learned Qigong from him, and he really kind of epitomizes that urban monk mentality. And so I borrowed that term from him. But, we deal with so many crazy things in our lives every day. And like I said before, having a tool or tools or multiple tools in your tool belt to be able to go out there, just like a professional would with any, profession, you have to have the right tools to be successful. So to be successful in this world and to really be centered and present and peaceful and calm amongst all the chaos that's going on, requires those tools.
It's so amazing because I think we both had similar journeys. We'll see how that plays out in this podcast, right? But we've had different lives, you as a director, you're still doing it, by the way, as I know. Tell me about the American Ninja Warrior. I just saw your post about you're going to be in the Houston Astrodome. Is that true?
We are. Well, not Houston Astrodome. We're going to be in San Antonio, the Alamo Dome. San Antonio. Yeah. So we're entering our 14th season.
It's amazing.
And American Ninja Warrior started as it was a show, a version born out of a show in Japan called Sasuke. And me and my partner Arthur Smith took this idea and created the format American Ninja Warrior. And originally the show was kind of comedic with Japanese people. They like to dress up in costumes, and they did these obstacles. It was more Wipeout-esque in the term, meaning that it was more about them falling and failing and not completing. But it also had some elements to it that we really liked, which was, competing on an obstacle course, really testing your resilience. And what we did is we adapted stories to that. People overcoming obstacles in their lives to overcome the hardest obstacle course in the world. And so we started telling stories, and that's what really took it from this male-driven or male-skewing audience to broadening it out to reach everybody. And I don't think we really realized, I know I didn't in the beginning, that we had, such amazing format that would resonate with so many people. And it just created this huge grassroots following. And we all of a sudden noticed, I noticed it about season 3, that we were making a difference in people's lives and changing people's lives. And I always say it's the show that gets kids away from video games off the couch and gets parents out in the backyard playing with their kids again and creates those family values. So I love it. I love that it's a show that's of service to people, that makes a difference to people, that inspires people, and really rewards people for their courageousness and their resilience and their ability to overcome any adversity in their life.
Ken, thanks for the background on that. I want to dive into the storytelling because you've done that probably better than anybody. The amount of directing you've done, not just American Ninja Warrior, but what you just did is you brought to life for me the reason it was successful, right? And it wasn't obvious to you at the beginning, right? If that's what I'm saying. How did you learn that storyline that was going to make it successful?
I think what the beauty of it was is it kind of happened just by telling stories. My partner Arthur came from sports background, and he did a couple of Olympics, and the one thing about the Olympics is you can make anything interesting by telling stories. You can make bobsledding interesting. You can make curling interesting because you tell the stories of the people behind it. And once you get audiences invested in a story of the person, they become vested in whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a sport or, in our case, American Ninja Warrior, the obstacles. Then you care about them, and you care about how well they're going to perform, and you care if they're going to make it as far as you think they will. So you're riding along with them because you're vested in their story now.
Wow. I think about the Olympics. It's funny. The minute you said that, I go, yeah, some of the most, what I lean the most in was when they have the Olympic stories, of the athletes, right? Of course, I want to see the competition. Of course, I want to see them win, but it's like, whoa, tell me about them, and it's amazing to me how we all have stories, right? Every single person, everybody's overcome obstacles. You have a ton in your life, I have, and I love what you're doing now, though, and tell me more about what your passion is now while you're doing that, of how to help people and serve others through that. What's up on your plate these days?
Well, I got to a point in my career where all of a sudden I wasn't being as fulfilled, probably spiritually as much as anything, on what, the kind of shows I was doing and the projects, and I wanted to do more. And I about 12 years ago, I went on a journey. I was searching for, how to be happy in life. What is happiness? How do you create happiness? And that journey led me through tons of discoveries and, seminars and webinars and reading tons of books. And what I found out is that, the best way to create happiness in your life is to be of service to others. And we all have a message to deliver in this life, and we all have something to give to someone else. You said it already, which is, we all have stories. We all have obstacles that we've overcome, adversity that we've faced. And it's through those stories and that adversity that we can relate to other people, and other people can relate to us. And that's where the beauty begins. And that's where everything happens. And that's where you start realizing, wait a minute, we are alike. We really are. We do share a lot of the same things. It may be a little bit different. It may be a different story, but there's a lot of alignment that happens between sharing those stories with each other. So I became, after I became disillusioned with what I was doing, I decided to kind of reinvent myself. And I found that through my own struggles and my own obstacles and my own adversity, that I was able to find peace and serenity and calmness through meditation. Meditation changed every aspect of my life because it was the foundation for creating all the abundance that I have now. I really believe that. Going from my health when I had suffered from chronic back pain and high blood pressure and severe allergies, dealing with alcohol abuse, to being totally healthy today, not having any aches or pains. I mean, I get up in the morning, I jump out of bed. I'm not stiff, I'm not sore, I have no allergies. I don't face anything. Now, people will say, now, how does meditation help you with your health? That doesn't.
Oh, a lot.
And the way it does it is, and this is how it translates across all other areas of your life too, abundance, work, family, everything, is when you meditate and you meditate regularly, you start rewiring your brain and creating new neural pathways. And what those neural pathways do is they cause you to start thinking differently. So when I started really trying to reevaluate my life and put things in priorities and say priorities are my number one, health, family is number two, and create my list of priorities, all of a sudden my brain is working for me. And with the meditation practice, it starts creating new thoughts. And all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I don't feel like eating that crap anymore. I feel like eating this. Yeah. And I feel like exercising more and working out regularly every day. And I got into biohacking, and I really dove headfirst into that and created all these different ways to biohack my health too, and to be, create longevity in my life, and not just live long, but to be healthy long too. Yeah. And that's all why I say goes back to meditation. The same thing happens with relationships. The same thing can happen with success in work and changing a career if you want. So that's where it all began with meditation. And this was a 12-year journey to create this course that I have right now. And the thing I noticed though is going back to this urban monk and being able to, create this kind of a life within yourself and within, your surroundings. We don't have hours upon the day. Nobody has the time anymore, right? What's the one thing everybody says they wish they had more of is time. Yeah. And so I really worked on creating a streamlined version of a meditation that you can get the same results as if you went away to a meditation retreat for a week and meditated for 8 hours a day, just by meditating 10 minutes a day. And whatever, and the beautiful thing about it is this meditation course, and I don't want to get too much into the course, but it includes gratitude, compassion, forgiveness, and your future dreams. Those are the key elements to creating the success you want in your life, by including those practices in your daily routine. And just like going to the gym, you don't go to the gym for 2 weeks and then not go to the gym anymore and expect to have results. You got to practice. You got to just keep it up. So only having to do this 10 minutes a day, that's not too much of a strain on people's times and people's lives. So that's what I really derived from all the years of studying and seminars and webinars and books and everything, is to just glean the best of all these little things and compact it into a streamlined version. So, and I do it myself every morning, and then work out and then do my other day. But it sets the tone for the day. It just sets you off for the best day of your life.
Yeah, let's unpack this. You went through so much stuff there real quick. I'm gonna tie back to a couple of things, all right? And it may not be in the exact order, but I want to just start with the most important part is gratitude. And you see I'm wearing a shirt. Glad to be here. All right.
Love it.
And glad to be here is our brand.
I would be wearing yours, but I've been wearing it. It was dirty. It's in the laundry, and I went to pull it out, and it was like, I apologize. I love that shirt. I wore it in Hawaii when I was on that trip with my family. And
did you really?
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, that's a cool shirt." Yeah, they love it. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you're wearing it, because I want to get the brand in front of people like you who are making a difference out there in the world. It's amazing the effect it has on people, right? And so to me, glad to be here can mean a lot of things, but it really starts with the glad, right? That's the gratitude piece. The right. To be is the present, okay? Or to be, also the way I like it to think about to be is like Shakespeare, to be your future self, as you said, the dreams, right? That you want to be. And then the here is in the present. So it's kind of funny that we're talking about the same thing. When I was researching you and when they said, hey, you got to talk to Kent. And I started to find out what, not your background, which is so impressive, but what you're doing now, I said, holy crap, here's a guy on the path, and we have so much to talk about. So tell me about gratitude. What is that meant to you?
Yeah, well, gratitude is the foundation of my course, and it is probably the single most important thing you can do to create happiness in your life. I mean, there's thousands of studies on it, and anybody can go Google them. But suffice it to say, without question, a practice of gratitude, a daily practice of gratitude, and incorporating it into your life will create more happiness in your life than you can ever imagine. And I mean, the only way to know it for sure is to go out and do it. So I created this gratitude moments on Instagram a few months ago, just sharing my daily gratitude moments. Whether I'm walking the dog, out in the garden, at the beach, going for a swim, whatever it was. You can be grateful for anything. I'm grateful for like seeing a butterfly fly by. So.
Well, I saw that sunset you set not too long ago. Yeah, but I'm with you. It's the little things too. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing about gratitude. It doesn't matter how big the thing is you're celebrating, the thing you're grateful for. Our brains don't recognize the difference. It still gets measured the same way, whether it's a small little thing or a big thing. Whether it's getting a new car or getting married or seeing a beautiful sunset. They both get processed the same way with the same amount of equal attention. And
now let's unpack that real quick. How come? Why is that true?
Well, it's just the way our brains work. Our brains don't, it's good, okay? That's how it recognizes it, right? So it doesn't measure like we do. Like, we don't like give it a scale of 1 to 10. So it's all the same. And just like our brains don't know, when we feed it thoughts or we say words, it doesn't know that when we say something negative, it doesn't know that that's a bad thing. It's like a computer. It processes information. So you put information in, you say, oh, I'm not enough. I suck at this. Your brain goes, okay, he sucks at this. Let's make sure he sucks at this. Computer, because that's what we're telling it to do.
Yeah.
So you want to always gratitude, feed it the positive feelings, catch yourself when you're complaining. And people that complain don't realize how much damage they're doing to their happiness and their joy in their life. And they need to catch themselves. You need to stop yourself from complaining. The minute you catch yourself complaining about something, catch yourself and flip it, turn it. So that because that's the first way to get rid of happiness in your life and create, just enchantment and disheartenment. Because your brain just wants to process it as data.
Yeah, I love that you use the word flip. It's again, we're talking the same language and being awareness, right? So it's that gap between a stimulus and a response, right? And being able to catch yourself in that gap, which meditation allows you to start to catch yourself better, right?
Exactly.
And then you can have the conscious flip. I actually call it the Gucci flip, but I like what you talk about. Gucci's my call sign, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. But it's this flip that says exactly what you're saying is, okay, wait a minute. Why am I going down this negative path? I'm going to flip it to opportunity, vice fear, whatever's going through your mind. Give me a story of how you actually do that or did that.
I always tell people when you're meditating, we can't shut our brains down. Our brains, that's their job, is to come up with thoughts. What you can do is control the thoughts, control your brain and make it think the things you want it to think about. So when thoughts come in, and a lot of people have said, treat them as clouds flying by overhead. And what I like to say, treat it as if you're passing someone on the sidewalk. You see them come in and then they're gone. You let them go. You don't think about them again. There's a mother with a baby and a carriage. Oh, okay, they're gone. So I like to think about that. So the story I want to share with you about meditation and condensing that gap that you talk about, where you recognize something and you react. And when I first started meditating on a regular basis, there was someone that I worked with very regularly at work and saw every day, and she always complained. She was complainer, and was not very nice and very arrogant and kind of egotistical and and just not a very nice person. And I dreaded going to work to have to deal with this person every day. And after about a month of meditating, I was at work and I said, she's not as bad. I think she's getting better. She doesn't seem like she's complaining as much, and she doesn't seem as mean or arrogant as she used to be. And I said to myself, wow, she's really changed. And then it occurred to me that, wait a minute, she hasn't changed. I have. And that's what meditation can do to you and do for you. Another thing that I like to say to people about, we all get triggers, right? We all have triggers that send us, especially with our loved ones. Our loved ones are the best ones at triggering us, our closest ones to us. And what happens when you start a regular practice of meditation is when we normally get triggered, we react right away. We get defensive, or we get angry, or we get sad, and it's our go-to. It's a habit. It's an automatic response. as you start meditating, you'll start noticing those. And then you may not notice it right away. You may notice it 10 minutes later, go, you know, I got upset at that moment. Yeah, but I'm working on that. I'm working on that. And then the more you meditate, that gap closes. And all of a sudden you'll react and then go, oh gosh, I shouldn't do that. And then you'll get to a point where this happens. The action happens, you don't react because you're in front of it now. The thought stops it. You actually don't react now because you're ahead of it. You go, oh no, that doesn't bother me because I don't take things personal, as Don Miguel would say. And this is not me, this is them. And your brain is we're so fast, we're like milliseconds fast that we can process stuff, that we actually get in front of it.
So when that seed ripens, into a thought, then the question there is, what do you do with that thought, right? And you don't have to react. I think a lot of what we're talking about is the brain will take the path of least resistance. It's electricity, right? So if you have that negative and fearful path, which by the way is a natural tendency, right? We have to use gratitude to overcome that and make it more positive. That's what I feel. What was it? Who did you study with? You said you did a lot of these seminars and studies. Where did you get, where were those ahas? Who was it? Where was it?
Well, I think Pedram was probably my first teacher, Pedram Shojai, who I mentioned earlier. He was probably one of the preeminent ones, but it goes back to Dr. Wayne Dyer. Yep. I've also, I studied, and then most recently, I mean, there's been tons of them, but most recently, Vishen Lakhiani with mindvalley.com, who wrote The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which is an amazing book. If you haven't read it, all your viewers should pick it up, because it was the book that at the end of like 6 years or 7 years of studying and reading and going to seminars and webinars, that I was like, that was my big aha moment. It's like, oh my God, this is it. And it encapsulated a lot of the things that I'd been working on all in one book, and kind of just brought it all together.
And I like that you bring that up in your course too. Like I said, with everybody, I just went through your course last night, and I like that you show, some of the big books that made a difference. Where were you in your life when that aha happened?
I was transitioning, I think, in my life, trying to find, break the code of being happy. What's it going to take for me to be happy? I was struggling a little bit with, where am I going to go next? I have this really, kind of cool job that everybody thinks is cool. My family's like, you're making a lot of money and you've got a great job and you're running a production company. But, when you're not happy, you're not happy. And I really believe everybody is on this earth to be happy, and has the potential to be that way. So it really helped me, push me forward to kind of jump off the cliff, if you will, because our future lies on the other side of a door that we're usually too afraid to go through, because we don't know what's there. Nice. And my sister, I remember my sister, I just met, taken my first Mindvalley course, or seen Vishen speak, and got very much involved with them, and ended up becoming a Mindvalley certified master trainer to teach, some of their courses and stuff like that. But my sister and I was trying to decide what to do about work and, my company, and if I should stay, if I should go, and everybody's saying, no, don't go. You can't give it up. It's too good. It's too this. And I remember, like, my sister said, just jump.
Wow.
Just jump. And I can visually see myself, like, when she said that, like jumping off a cliff. And in the minute I just made the decision to do that, to just jump and just let go and just jump off the cliff, all of a sudden, like, all these windows open and doors open that I'd never seen before. And you can't see your future until you let go of your past. Until you're willing to let go of the past and actually step through that door, then everything opens up for you, because then all the possibilities open up. They're not there for you until you let go of the past. So that was the big moment where I was like, okay, we're going to go for it. We're going to do it, and just do it, and then see what happens. I didn't have a big plan or big, whole, business plan about what the next part of my life was going to be like. I didn't know if I was going to do this meditation course. That wasn't, when I when I stepped off the cliff and opened that door, I was like, okay, we'll see what the world brings me. And I'm here to just move forward in this grace and this, wonderful place that I'm feeling, and see where it leads me to. So.
Whoa, I want to put some context around it, because it's what I'm trying to say. It's harder to do than what you said, because there's a lot of people, including myself, who probably have asked themselves the same question, right? And what I was thinking about was this idea of analogy of tipping your toe in the pool versus just diving in, right? And you know, a lot of us do a lot of toe tipping, right? Yeah, maybe I'll do this. So just for context, you know, you had an amazing, still do. I guess I'm trying to unpack this production company. Let's go back a little bit into the past.
Yeah.
And then I want to see that inflection point of where how you crossed into your future. So give us a little background of your history. How did you start?
Well, I started pretty young in my early 20s in television and worked my way up to becoming a director pretty young. By the age of 28, I was directing primetime television.
Amazing.
And then, you know, after directing for a few years, I decided I wanted to produce the shows I was directing because I felt like I would be able to do more. I was somewhat limited to just directing and having to listen to producers. So if I produced, then I could control much more.
Okay, so I want to unpack that because for my edification, really, what's the difference between a director and a producer?
So in television, a director is the person that deals with the creative as far as the look, the style, the cameras, how it's shot, how it's filmed. The producer is more in charge of the overall creative story and the storyline and the writing and that aspect of it and the bigger picture, if you will. So when you blend the two and you're a director producer, then you have the benefit to do both. You control the storyline and the production value, and then you, as a director, you control the look and style and how it's filmed and on all that too. So those are the two main differences. In film, a director is more revered than a producer. In television, the producer is probably more revered than a director.
Oh, there's the nuance. It's so funny. I did not know that, but I sensed it. So anyhow, we're back to you. So you're kicking butt as a director. You say, I want to be more television. I want to be more the story, the producer. And then what happens?
So I was producing and directing for a while, and then for about another 10 years, and then a friend of mine, Arthur Smith, came to me and said he wanted to start a production company. And I had a small production company called Wave Productions, where we produced music videos and dance videos and things like that. And some
right in the beginning of that whole thing, right? I mean, this is back MTV when it first kicked out, type of stuff.
Yeah, in the early 2000s when we started. So we started the company together. We put $25,000 each of our own money in a bank account and started the company. And we had a series that we launched on Fox called You Gotta See This, which was a clip show about people doing crazy things, skateboarders falling and cars wrecking and stuff like that. And but that kind of was our foundation to build upon. It helped to, keep us through, the growing periods. And then we became the #1 supplier for Fox for unscripted television called reality television. They changed it to reality after a while. But and then reality became this kind of catch-all for everything, because it used to be music, variety, game, talk. Now it's all considered reality. So there's the reality shows, which are the salacious, Bachelor, Joe Millionaire, Temptation Island, those type of shows, or Kardashians. And then there's what I call unscripted shows, which is still kind of bundled into the reality world, but they're more nonfiction. They're more real stories about people, and not meant to be salacious. I mean, one of the things that differentiated the kind of shows that we did with other companies is we did shows about people in the real world. We didn't cast reality contestants. We cast real people. Real people, like Hell's Kitchen was born out of real chefs in the real world wanting to up-level their game, wanting to advance their careers, wanting to be chefs in a bigger pond, to get out of the... And that's what made it resonate with more people, because it wasn't reality show contestants. These are real chefs competing for a real prize. And they were going to, work for Chef Gordon Ramsay, who was one of the most revered chefs in the world at that time. And American Ninja Warrior is the same thing. It's real people with real stories and their real lives competing on a real show. They're not reality show contestants. They're not doing this to promote their Instagram or, to get more followers on YouTube. They're doing this because they have a passion, and when you have passion about something, you're very real and you're very in the moment. So we did this. We had our company. We've been hugely successful. After about 10 years, we sold our company to a bigger conglomerate, an international conglomerate called Tanopolis. And it was at that time where, we'd won, we got the brass ring, and I wasn't happy. It was like, it's like, okay, you got millions of dollars and millions of dollars, but I'm not fulfilled. And, we never really celebrated any of our successes too, which is something that we should talk about, the importance of people celebrating successes in their lives, minor or major, whatever they be. It's so important. But so as part of this new conglomerate, now you have shareholders, you have board members, and everything became about margins, and it became a very different company than what Arthur and I started, which was doing shows that we were passionate about and things that we cared about. And so it was more about, making the bottom line. And I became a little bit disillusioned. I tried to make some changes, but wasn't very successful. And so that's when I decided that I needed to make a change. And even though I was making a lot of money every year and I had a contract and I could, be doing this, could be doing it forever, I knew that it was more important to be happy. And I was, a lot of my frustrations were dealt with through alcohol. And I had struggled with alcohol in the past, but I had it fairly under control. I say that I was probably just a functioning alcoholic, to be honest. And but that's how I dealt with my pain. That's how I dealt with sadness and pain and emotions, and by not dealing with it, by just suppressing it and numbing it. And so, the first thing I had to do was to just get out of what I was doing and to create that, and I dealt with that. And there were some emotional traumas from my childhood that I had to deal with. And, I think everybody has some emotional bags that they carry around with them. And we talk about that in the course as well. But the key was really to release all that emotional baggage, and also to follow I started a company called Live Your Purpose. LiveYourPurpose.com is to help people find their purpose and to be able to release their emotional baggage and follow their dreams, basically. And that's what I did. I just said, okay, I'm going to go follow my dreams. And they don't necessarily have to be all completely thought out either, as is at least proven with me. I mean, they weren't. I just knew I had to do something that was going to be different. And then it's the whole, go back to meditation and programming your brain, by putting that out there in the universe, or putting it out to God or whoever deity that you follow, you start creating things in your life. Things start happening in your life that point you in that direction and get you along the path. And you start noticing opportunities. Well, this is interesting. I'll do this, and this kind of resonates with me, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. And that's what led me to find Mindvalley, which led me to the practice of becoming a certified trainer with them, to launching. I had 4 live events planned in 2020 called Overcoming Obstacles in Your Life.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, in March, April, May, and June. And then what happened in March? The world went sideways, right? So, so we pivoted, and I played with doing like an online thing, like a virtual thing. But what I did instead was just figure out a way to be of service to all these Ninja Warriors who were not going to compete on American Ninja Warrior this year. So I launched a podcast, and I did a 9-episode podcast where we had Ninja Warriors on, and we talked about resilience, we talked about fear and anxiety, we talked about, overcoming obstacles in their lives and taking it back, and just really helping out the community, which was great because it led to something else. Everything leads from one thing to the other, and I don't necessarily know the path that it's supposed to be. Like I said, it's not plotted out, except to keep putting one foot in front of the other one, and keep following your passion, your purpose, your dreams, and just keep believing in yourself. And that's kind of where it led me to. All of a sudden, I met up with Tony Robbins, and they had a wonderful thing, of course, about and I had known about Tony for years and years and years, but I never really had followed him, and really enjoyed some of the seminars. I did his Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny.
I've been to both those.
Yeah, and so they're amazing, reaffirmations of what I was looking for in my life, and then the meditation course was kind of born out of that with Tony and Dean, with their launch of mastermind.com.
Mastermind. Yeah, I was interesting on that because I could tell right away, you went through Mastermind with them. And I also been to a bunch of Tony Robbins events. And when they launched that, it really seemed pivotal. They seem to always be on the cutting edge of the knowledge sharing. How was that experience working with the mastermind?
It was great. The funny thing is, I originally went to Tony's event because I saw he was doing something different virtually. And I was trying to help Mindvalley at that time because all their live events went away as well. And I saw Tony was doing something different with the big studio. So I attended Unleash the Power Within just to check out the technology. That was
virtually. So you attended virtually.
Virtually. The only reason I attended was to check copy that. And but what happened? Of course, something different happened. I got something out of it. And I saw something more, and and that's why I talk about it's like there are no accidents. Even though you try and go after something, you may be pursuing it for one reason. All of a sudden, you learn something else from it. You gain something from it. And that's why I started following Tony, and then got involved with him much more deeply, and followed him much more. And then that led one thing led to another, and the mastermind came up, and I said, you know what? This looks like something I want to do. And I didn't know that I was going to do a meditation course at first. I thought, well, maybe I'll do a biohacking course. Maybe I'll do a course on directing, on how to teach people how to direct. I had no idea, but everything just kind of fell in place. And this was what ended up resonating the most. And I have a biohacking course, Biohacking Your Health course, that I'm planning to launch in March. So
good. Which
will be fun. But yeah, I owe a lot to those guys, and they're so good and so thorough, and I'm so grateful for them and so supportive.
So what did you learn? You went there to learn technology, and this is virtually, right? And
yeah.
What is it that you came away with?
Well, I came away with so much more about, just like I said, reaffirming all the things that I've been studying and learning about myself, and I think knowledge is only useful if you take action, right? Tony talks about this, and I always felt like knowing is not enough. You've read tons of books, you've been to lots of these seminars, and having the knowledge is not enough unless you act upon it. One of the things that this course did for me is it, like I said before, reaffirmed what I did, and that constant affirmation reminds you of what you're doing, and keeps you in the present moment of it, and keeps you current with it. I mean, teaching this course, the meditation course, did the same thing, because I'm teaching the same, I'm learning the same thing I'm teaching again. As I teach it, I'm reminding myself, oh yeah, that's right. And I go, after recording a session or something like that, I'll go into, with the kids and they're fighting, and I'll go, this is an example, this is how I have to be with this. This is like the universe or God showing me, okay, here, let's see how you do. I always joke with people. I say, like, when you first start meditating, I used to meditate, and the one meditation I'd have every morning is like I'd like plan out. One of my meditation practices at that time was to plan out your day, your perfect day, right? And this is actually from Vishen Lakhiani. He had the 6 phase meditation, and one of the phases was to plan out your perfect day. And so in my perfect day, the morning would start out great, no fighting, breakfast would be good, the kids would not be rushing out the door, everyone would be happy. And 10 minutes later, I go upstairs and all hell break loose. and I'm like, and in the beginning, I was like, but I'm meditating. Why is this happening? Why? I don't get it. And then I realized, oh, I get it. Nice try. You're testing me. That's good. That's a good joke you're playing on me, God. So thank you very much. So
I love your awareness. I've had it explained to me that it's like seeds ripening, right? So the meditation that you did that morning, it's going to take a little while to ripen. They don't all ripen quickly. So what you're experiencing is something that happened prior to that. It could be back when you were directing or something, right? Sure. That experience is the one that is actually ripening. But what I love as we think about this, because the one variable is time, right? We don't know. Right. But if you plant a good seed, you can only get a good result. All right. But the challenge is knowing what that cause and effect really is, right? The effect, what is the true cause? And so as your story, I want to, I've gone through I'm still going through this same realization, right? And one thing you mentioned earlier, I want to bring up because I think it's so powerful, is that we're all more similar than we are dissimilar, is the way I like to say it, right? Storytelling, lives. And I think that's one of the things I see you doing, and I think so important in the world, is to get us to be more, by meditation, which is a tool, right? Mindfulness focus, to realize that, look at the goodness. And one of my mantras for this year I did a goal setting class right before, right at the new year, is to find the good in people, to look for the good in everything. And that's not new. I mean, of course it's not new, but it's helping me, right? So any thoughts on that? Any goals that you've set or anything you've learned?
Sure. I mean, my two goals this year are to run everything through two filters. Everything that I do is going to be run through gratitude and compassion. So before I act, before I speak, before I even have a thought, I think about, am I being compassionate, which includes kindness, and then am I grateful for what I have? And so everything gets run through those two filters. I really believe that when we talk about tools on the tool belt, meditation obviously is one. A gratitude practice, a practice of compassion, a practice of forgiveness will set you free. That will create so much, and we talk about it in the course, and I really emphasize the importance of incorporating these practices into your routine as part of your meditation practice to have a fully rounded version of it, because you can't just meditate for 10 days and then not think about, or meditate for 10 minutes and not think about it the rest of the day. And that's where these gratitude, and I have gratitude resources and things you can do, and little fun things that are great to that keep you present, keep you reminding about that, and compassion too. So you're reinforcing your meditation practice in the morning throughout the day, and that's what keeps you present. Just like you said, where you get reminded about something, but it's not enough. You want to be current with it. You got to stay up to date with it. And you were talking earlier about time, and that time is you nailed it. I mean, it's so true, John. It's like we put expectations on almost everything. And even in meditation, we have expectations, right? Like you said it. Like I had an expectation in the beginning that I was going to go upstairs and everything would be, flowery, and everybody, good morning, hi Dad, love you, everything going. We're early for school today. I had all these, but the expectations, like you said, it's not on our timeline. It's not on what we think the timeline in. It's just to put it out there in the universe and then watch what unfolds. Don't have any expectations about it. It's when we have expectations that we suffer, and then we experience, suffering and failure. It's like, well, it doesn't work, and then we sabotage that by doing it.
I love your two filters. I love the gratitude and compassion. So clear. I've got a good friend. I know you care a lot about nonprofits too, and giving to the world. And right here in Sun Valley, by the way, I see Hawaii in the background there. I'm sitting here in Sun Valley. It's snowing right now.
Oh, wow.
And to me, that's blessings coming down. Is the way I've looked at rain or snow. It was told to me. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Like this whole event where this exchange we're having, right, is really a blessing for me. Thank you for the opportunity. And as you were talking, this friend who runs a compassionate program for the schools, for the kids, right? Compassionate Leaders Program. He has a mantra, and it says three things, which is, I think the reason I want to share it with you is I know you're aligned, is he runs it through three filters. Is it kind? So what am I about to say to somebody? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And then is it true? And that truth is one I like to put quotes around, because is it truth? Is it our truth? Or, is it different truth? But he's teaching that to kids, and he's teaching compassion. Yeah. Tell me, how do you teach compassion, or what just went through your mind when I was talking about
Well, we had the same saying in one of my kids' preschools. So I remember it very vividly, and I think it's beautiful, and I applaud him for doing that. And kids are sponges, and they want to learn. And the only thing that I could think of is, when I talk about compassion, it's like you said, it's really just being loving and being kind and considerate. I mean, we have a saying in my family that we are kind, loving, and respectful. And that's our mantra for our family. And we do, and I remind the kids, similar to what your friend does, when they do something, I go, is it kind? Is it loving? Is it respectful?
Beautiful.
If you don't check all three boxes, it's out. It doesn't pass the grade. So it's very similar to yours. And but as far as the practice of compassion,
yeah,
I mean, there's so many things that we can do, but it really comes down to just awareness. And treating yourself, it starts with yourself. It starts by treating yourself more kindly and being kinder to ourselves. We are so hard on ourselves in general. I share a story where, if you were hiking with someone on a mountain and they fell down, you wouldn't stand there and kick them and say, "You idiot, you fell down." You'd bend down to help them, right? But if we're by ourselves and we fall down and we trip over a rock or something, "Oh, you clumsy idiot, how did you do that? Why can't you see the rock in front of you?" We need to be kinder to ourselves. We would never do that to a friend or to a child. If a child, if you're at a birthday party with a child and they get ready to blow out the candles on a birthday cake and all of a sudden they knock the cake over, you don't scream and yell at them and tell them they're a stupid fool. You go, "Oh, it's okay." As they're crying, you go, "That's okay. It's just a cake. It's not a big deal." I'm always reinforcing that with my kids. Last night, my son got all upset because he was painting something for a school project, and the paint got on a part of the thing that didn't match, and I go, hey, be kinder to yourself. Make it a positive. Make this a positive. Look at what you're doing. Don't beat yourself up because you spilled a little paint.
Did it work? Did it work?
It did. I did talk him off the ledge. Listen, it's
Okay.
When you're in the moment and you're like
Yeah.
panicking, and with the amygdala is taking over. And with kids, I always tell them it's your guard dog, and the guard dog is the amygdala in your brain. The guard dog is there to protect you, even though the guard dog doesn't know what it's protecting you from sometimes.
Right.
The guard dog's going to start barking and barking and barking when there's nothing to be afraid of. Anybody that has a dog hears their dog bark in the morning and they yell out their window and they go, "Shut up, Johnny," or "Shut up, Spot." There's nothing out there, right? Well, that's what you have to do to your guard dog. It's okay. You have to reassure him. It's okay. I'm not going to die. There's not a tiger going to jump out of the bushes and grab me. I appreciate you, but you got to quiet your guard dog down. And so I quieted him down, and then he came out there and he just totally flipped. And he's like, "Yeah, this is going to be fine. We'll do this." And then he spilled another piece of paint. He had some paint on his sleeve, and he got on a piece of blue on a brown. He said, "That's okay. We'll just make it work." So it translated and it clicked in. But it's repetitiveness, So, and that's the one thing meditation does. By the way, you said earlier about reactions, and that's our amygdala. That's the fight or flight in us, right? And it's wired to do that. But the more you meditate, you transfer that first response from the amygdala to the frontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is where all the rationing happens and all the compassion exists. And that's where the brain really starts working for you, where you start taking control of your mind.
Yeah, I love that. I was thinking about, I like to say you respond instead of react. So the amygdala, bam, is going to, fight or flight, boom. But we have the prefrontal cortex that allow us to, say, "Wait a minute, is that true? Do I need to, is it a tiger?" Well, nowadays there's not many tigers chasing us, but we sure mentally have a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
That fear out there. Hey, one thing you talked about in your course is beliefs, the limiting beliefs and overcoming those and obstacles. Talk to me a little bit about that. It's something that I've experienced on the Blue Angels and I experienced in life is you can be held back from, fear-based limiting beliefs, but it's really more about these, what I call liberating beliefs, right? And I think you were talking to the same thing. Tell me more about your idea of beliefs.
Well, beliefs, our thoughts create our beliefs, and our beliefs create our reality. So the more thoughts you have about something, the more you'll form a belief about it. And if you believe in something, you will create that reality in your life.
So you know what I like to say, this is so cool, is with you, is the world's coming from us, not at us. What you just said to me is our thoughts create our beliefs, which create our realities, which means it's this way, right? And yet so many times we're the opposite. It's ignorance, to think that, but go for it.
And Tony, you said it. Tony Robbins says, you get to a state where life stops happening to you and starts happening for you.
Beautiful.
And he puts it very similar to what you just said. And it comes from us. We create it. It's not reacting to the world throwing stuff at us. It's responding to what the world is offering us and what it's giving us. It's a perspective.
Love it.
And Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I use that all the time. I say that to myself all the time because I'll be in a situation and I'll look at something And it could be something silly, like I may see a homeless person and start to judge them in my mind.
Right.
And then I just flip that switch. It's like I say that saying in my mind. I go, so change the way you look at things, and the way you look at change. I go, all of a sudden I'm looking at this, this person's, I don't know their story. It could be, but they look like they need help, or they don't want my help, whatever it is. But I don't put a label on them. The label comes off, and it's the judging goes away. And we all judge people, judge situations, judge experiences all the time. I don't care if you've been meditating for 100 years or you're a monk on a mountain. You still, unless you're Sadhguru, or the Dalai Lama, and maybe they still, and I think they still do too, because it's your brain's reaction to do that, right? So,
Yeah.
but beliefs are interesting because they're formed from, and you know this, John, because you're very wise about this stuff. They're formed from experiences, they're formed from culture, they're formed from parents and childhood, and the funny thing about beliefs is we think they're true.
Yes.
Just because we believe it, right? And some beliefs support us, and some don't. So the key is to and Vishen Lakhiani has a great rule, a great phrase he calls brules, and brules are bullshit rules.
I love it.
Those are beliefs that are found on rules that came from society or church or something else. Like, it's like, wait a minute, does it? And he has like this filter that you run it through. Does it answer, these questions? Does it satisfy the golden rule? Does it make you healthy? Does it, does it make you feel good? It's like, if it doesn't, then it's not right. Those aren't true beliefs. Just, it may be true for someone else. Right. But there's so many beliefs that are in society and culture today, so many. But I don't want to go into any detail on, because everybody's got their own, and there's culture by culture, and political rules, and and all kinds of rules. So, but the key is to be cognizant of these rules and know where they came from, and do some work to go and look at your beliefs and say, hey, are these really natural beliefs, or are they formed by culture and society and past experiences? Because someone told me something, because my dad said, you have to work hard if you're going to be successful. Yeah. Or, men don't cry. Well, that's not a great belief to teach a kid. And listen, my dad was amazing father, amazing dad. He didn't know what he was teaching me when he said that. He didn't know that I wouldn't cry for 7 years. But our parents had that impact on us,
Yeah.
And,
well, yeah, keep going. But what I'm hearing you is the strength and vulnerability that most guys don't get, right? Because we're brought up, women typically understand this, but there's actually strength and vulnerability, the idea of crying. But you think about your dad, my dad, and I love my dad. He was the greatest example of integrity and courage and character and all that, but he rarely hugged you. So a male to male hug, I could tell, was awkward for him. Now my mom wasn't, and all that. And, for me, I'm a hugger. I still am. And I remember that, I remember distinctly in my mind feeling that energy, from my dad, that it was uncomfortable. And instead of backing down, I just kept hugging him, in a nice way, in a nice way. I mean, and you know what? It took a while, and we never talked about it. That's why I'm so glad you're bringing it up. But he started to change. He realized I could feel his body soften. It's cool.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, good for you for just keeping at it. Yeah.
Hey, I got a couple questions. We got so much, you and I could go on forever, but a couple of thoughts here hit me real quick. Triggers. You talked about triggers earlier, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what triggers do you have or use in a positive way? This idea of the flip it, when, or just any kind of trigger that you use. Do you have any?
Well, it's funny you said that, because I've never really thought of positive triggers.
Right.
And that's because I always thought of it more of in a negative connotation.
Yep.
I do know that whenever I am in the ocean, that's a positive trigger. That there is something about being in the water. I must have been a dolphin or a turtle or a snail. I don't know, in the ocean. It could have been a crab. Who knows? But I am like so at home in the ocean. And I mean,
Wow.
to a point where it's like I am completely peaceful and calm and so much joy and happiness that I experience. And we were just in Hawaii with my family, and I would go swimming in the morning, and I just felt always feels amazing. I live in Laguna Beach, and I go swimming even when the water's,
Oh, you're in Laguna. I saw your video, and I lived at Dana Point for a while when I
oh
was
wow, really
flying
close.
F-18s for the Marines. And
Yeah,
my wife and I, we'd come out and we rent a house in Laguna. You look like you're right on the cliffs, though, right on the ocean. I mean, or are you?
we're pretty close. We're on the hill right above, right above the ocean, just like 3.5, 4 blocks away. So
It's such a beautiful place. What street are you on? Oh no, you might not want to say that publicly, but
no,
whatever.
I don't care. It's right by the high school.
Yes, I think that's the most beautiful view because you're up high enough where you get that view, but you're close enough to walk into
Yeah,
town.
it's a 4-minute walk to downtown, 4-minute walk to the beach. So it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh
But
man, we'll reconnect offline for
yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah. But the beach is one, the ocean, especially the ocean,
Okay.
and actually working out too. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
physical, endorphins that kick in when you start working out. Those are very positive. I take cold showers. I always feel invigorated after cold showers.
Yep.
But they're not any, listen, I have positive triggers whenever anybody says, I'm like you, I'm a hugger. So when someone gives me a hug, I get just all warm and fuzzy inside. I love it. We all have, our love language, right? And my love language is very, physical. It's giving love and not so much like, oh, needing, acclaim and telling everybody, oh, you're awesome, you're great. I don't need that, but I love to be loved.
Yeah.
And I love to feel that love, and that's a very positive trigger. If when my kid comes up and gives me a hug after school and just says, "I love you, Daddy," oh my, there's a trigger that just melts anybody's heart, and I'm so grateful for it and so appreciative because I know not everybody has that too.
Yeah.
And that's where gratitude comes into play is that recognizing how many things we have to be blessed for in our lives. I mean, so many of us go through our lives taking things for granted. We take so many things for granted. I was sitting at the table with my kids at breakfast after making them breakfast the other morning, and I'm sitting there watching them eat, and I go, guys, do you know that it took a baker to make that bread that you have, and it took someone to, to a chicken to hatch the egg that you have, and then it took a farmer to take that egg and carefully transport it to the store that you could have that egg on your plate. And guess what? A carpenter had to make the table and chair you sit in. But we sit there and we just gobble our food down, and rather than appreciate the food, we say, oh, the toast is soggy or the egg is cold. And wait a minute, whoa, there's 17 million kids in the world that don't have any food right now, so we have to be, but it's anything, the roads we drive on, the car we drive, everything. And if you start looking at life through a different lens,
Yeah.
changing your perspective, all of a sudden everything becomes beautiful for you. Everything becomes, and my family makes fun of me when after each night the sun goes down and said, I know, don't tell us the sunset was beautiful, Dad. We got it. We got it. Because that's who I am.
Hey, I love that we talked about positive triggers. I hadn't planned on
No,
that.
that's great. I hadn't even thought about it, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing what you just shared, and I think a lot of people can, because we all know negative triggers. Something triggers us, and boom. But I think it's back to gratitude, right? And what you just said is, and gratitude for every aspect. You just amazing as you're saying that. I'll give you one trigger that I've built in, and then I want to know your morning routine because I'm interested in that. But one thing, and this was taught to me, and I've used it every day, is when I step out of the bed, and I purposely, consciously notice that my left foot is going to hit the floor first, which, by the way, is awkward for me, right? And then the minute that happens, what do I consciously do? I say, today's not normal. Today's magical. And that's a trigger that I built into my routine. I heard it in you and all your experiences.
I love that, John. That's beautiful.
I wanted to share that with you
Talk
and
about
everybody.
stepping into staying present, right in the present moment.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Hopefully you can adopt it or anything else. But what's your morning routine? I'm curious. How do you like to wake up and what do you do?
Well, I haven't used an alarm clock in, I don't know, 30 years. I wake up by myself, and the first thing I do is think of 3 things I'm grateful for. and big or small, doesn't matter. You know, sometimes I'm grateful that I slept well. Sometimes I'm grateful that, you know, the sheets are comfortable. I mean, or I hear a bird sing. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like really, it's just what comes into my head. And then I go wash my face, throw some cold water in my face. Sometimes I'll take a cold shower before I meditate. But usually I just go right into my meditation. I meditate in my house. I usually meditate. I have two Juve panels, you know, the Juve LED light panels.
Oh,
So
you do?
I set those up and I meditate sitting in front of those.
Well, hold on. I'm acting like I know it, and I actually now realize I don't. What is a Jube LED?
Juve, Joove,
Okay, JOOV.
LED
Yeah,
light panels. It's infrared light.
got it.
So I sit in front of infrared light and then I meditate for 10, usually 10 minutes, but 15 sometimes. If, you know,
Yep.
like I tell some people, I was telling someone today that just signed up for the course. I said, you know, sometimes I'll meditate and then my mind will start coming up with some problem solving things. It'll start solving things. So I don't shut my brain down when it's helping me. I'll say,
Good.
okay, run with that for a second. Let me hear, I'll hear you out. Okay. And then when it gets to a point, okay, got it. And then I say, wait, now I'm going to go back to my meditation now. And that's the beauty of being able to control the thoughts that you have rather than just having them race through. There's sometimes in that meditative mode is you actually create some really amazing solutions to things that you're working on, or ideas come up, you know. I remember there was a time when I used to keep a pen down right next to me, and I'd write things down and then go back to meditation. Write things down, go back to meditation. Write things down. But now I just keep it concise. But I do the meditation, and then I usually go and I'll make a cup of decaf coffee, and then I'll work out, take the dogs for a walk, either do a walk, a swim, or a workout. I like diversity. I'm not a routine guy. I never drove the same way to work twice when I went to work. I like diversity, so I have to keep it fresh. I have to keep something to do. But it's some form of exercise. You know, 30-minute walk with the dogs. I'll go down swim in the ocean. I'll go out and do a HIIT program and maybe some yoga before I open my emails, before I look at anything on my phone or anything. So,
Wow, I love that routine. How much time does that take you usually, roughly?
yeah. So the combined total time is about an hour and a half.
Yep. Beautiful. And you bake that into your day, that's the most important part, correct?
Yes, exactly. And then even if I have to get up earlier to do it, and it's
Right.
and I love getting up early because I love the quiet and the peacefulness of the morning, and
You're at Laguna Beach. I mean, come on. I just pictured you walking your dogs down Irene Street or some of the places. I just want to say that's amazing. I'm glad you shared that morning routine. I felt the story as you were saying it. I could feel you, you know, and the calmness and the peaceness and the joy. I have a very similar routine. I build it in.
What happens after you put your left foot on the floor? I want to hear it.
Okay. All right. So it starts with, actually, I start same way with you do, is gratitude starts before the left foot. So the minute my eyes open, I've trained the brain, like your course is teaching, to wake up happy, right? To wake up grateful. And the way I do that is very similar to what you were describing. It's just right in the present moment. What am I grateful for? Boom. But try this. Then what I do is I go back 24 hours and I just say what happened yesterday that I'm grateful for. And I think of people's faces, or I think of, you know, like the dog or your child or something. And then I go forward in my day, like you were teaching, you know, plan your day, right? Who am I going to be available for? I love that you add the I am into your meditation. I thought that's really huge. So my point is I do very similar. That's why I'm so glad that you put in this course out there. A gratitude wake up, left foot hits the floor next. And then I pray. So I'm down on my knees and I'm stretching and praying at the same time because I'm trying to do that kind of stuff. And then I get outside just like you. Now it's snowing out there. I'm not kidding you. I went out yesterday. It was -3 below zero. Wow. And I'm outside and I don't get my parka on or nothing. And I do a bowing movement routine that gets me to wake up. So your cold shower, you know, but I add a meditation piece to it. And then, I definitely do what you're talking about. I try to grab some quiet time, do some spiritual reading, do some deeper reading, turn off devices. I do not look at my phone. I absolutely won't do that. And then I meditate, and I meditate for today was 21 minutes, but I usually target 11 to 15. So yeah, very similar.
Yeah, very similar. That's awesome, man. That's beautiful.
That is cool. Hey, well, let's wrap. We have so much we could talk about. There's two things I want to do. I want to make sure people have access to your course. We'll put that in the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But where do they go? Mastermind, Monkey,
They go to tymm.mastermind.com.
Okay.
tymm.mastermind.com. And the other place you can go is liveyourpurpose.com. LIVEUR purpose, PURPOSE.com. Live Your Purpose. And you can access the course through there as well. That's my website.
Love that.
And of course, I'm on Kent Weed on Instagram, and you can see my gratitude moments anytime you want to check those out too. So those are always fun. And
that's good. Hey, I got two more questions, and one is, give me some life skills. Maybe it's a mantra, all right, or a quote that you live your life by, or something you want to share with the world right now.
Yeah, I think there's not just one.
Good.
There really isn't. I mean, I really follow the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh,
I think those are just, and you should put those in your course, or put it in the podcast so that
the show notes. Yeah, we will. But
the audience can see them.
Do you have them memorized?
Don't take anything personal. I just posted them on my kids. Always do the best. Always do your best. There's 2 other ones that escape me right now.
No, I don't remember them either. They're beautiful, and my mind can't pull them up this second.
They always pop up when I need them.
Right. Yeah, my producer
will rise like, oh yeah, that's a Don Miguel Ruiz quote. And then I mentioned before, change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. Earlier, that's something I use a lot, and really focusing on being more compassionate and really, like I said before, that's my big mantra this year is compassion, and treat everything in every situation, everybody with compassion. And I think that it's not as easy as it sounds.
Oh, I know.
I know that, but I also know that the results of it are wonderful.
How do you define compassion?
It's just a place coming from love for everything, with everything. Coming from a place of love. If you come from a place from your heart with every situation, as I slam my mic, sorry. You come from a place of love, and meaning think of things from your heart, so your brain or your gut, and approach it from that angle. That's compassion. As if you were talking to a small kid, or someone that was hurt or injured. I mean, there's so many stigmas around, people that have dealt with alcohol and alcoholism and stuff like that. And I always tell people that I help with nowadays that are dealing with that. I say, listen, if someone was suffering from cancer and they were recovering, everybody would be like, oh, I'm so happy you're recovering. But now you're labeled this recovering alcoholic. There's a stigma around that. But if you treat it with compassion, you treat that person the same as if they were coming over with a disease with cancer. The same thing. So, when you run into a homeless person, the way to treat them with compassion is like, what if that was a family member of mine? And it's easy to create that shift. One of the part of the meditation practices that we do on compassion is to picture someone that you love very much in your life, a person, a pet, whatever that is to you. And what I do is I draw upon that. Sometimes it's my daughter, sometimes it's my son, sometimes it's my wife. It's never my dog for some reason, but that's okay. Some people are closer to their pets than others. I love my dog, but I'm not. Maybe I don't feel like he loves me as much. I don't know. Maybe. But I feel love from my daughters, and I feel love from my son and my wife, and I can feel the colors that associate with that love, and I can feel our heart and growing, and so that compassion comes out, and treating every situation and not just be judging situations and people as it happens. It's a practice. you know, and it takes practice. So, and I catch myself. I caught myself just the other day. I started to like a situation was happening in work, and you know, and somebody wasn't performing what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing, or doing what they said they're doing, and my initial reaction was to like bark and say, well, what the heck's going on? And I caught myself. It's like, okay, compassion, compassion. Actually, you know what was funny? This is how the universe and God works in our lives. I really believe it. I was wearing a shirt that said love, and I was on a Zoom call. And this happened, and I started to go off, and I looked at myself in the Zoom and saw love. I said, compassion, 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 yes, compassion. So,
That's the best story. And that's
the world supports us. The universe, God supports us in whatever we really, really want to set our minds to, and our passion, and our purpose, and our mission for. So,
you know, I love the love.
See it though. We got to be able to, you know, open to seeing it, right?
Yeah.
Like the signboard, the billboards you can pass billboards on the if you're not paying attention to the billboard, but if you have something going on in your life, you're thinking that billboard will send you a message.
Exactly.
I don't have an exact example right now, but something happened. I can't remember what it was right now, but it was something where like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to know right now. Thank you. But you got to be.
That's a fun technique. Talk about triggers. One of them is to ask angels or ask God, ask the universe to give us messages, and then look for it, right? But we got to ask, right? You know, to ask. It's funny, you're telling the story, and I'm looking at my T-shirt, and I'm going, glad to be here is how I want to wrap this thing. I love that your definition of compassion was acting through love or with love. It's not but it wasn't just a stoic definition. You gave a life. I mean, I felt compassion from you. So thank you for that. I want to end with glad to be here. I want to say thank you. Number one, Kent, it's been such an amazing time together to spend this time to get a little bit into your mind, to see where you are today. I mean, there was so much more I would have liked to learn about, you know, how you produce and direct the American.
We'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, but what you're doing now is to me is what's so meaningful, and you brought inspiration to myself, and I know a lot of people here. So I'm just super glad we had this time together. Over to you.
Glad to be here with you. I can tell you that much. That's for sure.
Does any saying you want to end on? I'm going to let you end it. Leave us with something from your heart.
Love yourself, and don't ever give up on your dreams.
Thank you, Kent. That to me is glad to be here.
There for you to have. Glad to be here with you, John.
Glad to be here.